Hello, welcome to the Center for Parenting Education and the first part of our webcast called From Gimme to Grateful. This article addresses a topic that many parents struggle with, the overindulgence of children in today's culture. Most parents want to raise their children to be appreciative for what they have, not to be so concerned about material acquisitions, and to be generous people who think about the needs of others. This is a tough job, and parents face many obstacles to achieving this goal. In this article, we'll explore the many different forms that overindulgence can take. As we begin our discussion, there are two things to keep in mind. Overindulgence exists on a continuum. There are degrees to which children are overindulged. It's not an all-or-nothing phenomenon. And secondly, each parent decides for his family and his child how much is too much and what is enough. There's no one right way to spend money, and there's no one right amount to spend or to give. It depends on your personal values and what you want to teach your children about material things and about giving and receiving. The first thing for us to consider is what exactly is overindulgence. Research has found that there are three ways that parents typically overindulge their children. The first is by giving too much, giving too many material things. The second is by over-nurturing, and the third is by soft structure. In this article, we'll describe what each of these categories means. Giving too much means that parents are giving their children too many material things or too many activities without the expectation that they'll fulfill obligations in return. This is the type of overindulging that most people think of. Examples of giving too much would be:
a 5-year-old boy gets a Wii and then gets each new game as it is released. Or, parents give their 11-year-old son a new bike every year, although he does not take care of it. Or, a 13-year-old girl takes private violin lessons but doesn't have time to practice because she also takes art lessons and is on the travel soccer team. Sometimes she misses the soccer practice on Friday nights because she wants to go out with her friends. Or, a 7-year-old requests that her parents sign her up for numerous activities each day after school, even though it puts a strain on the family finances and scheduling.
Related to overindulging by giving too much is the concept of enough. This is the ability to know what is enough, and it's one of the most important skills you can teach as a parent. Enough is an elusive concept taught slowly over many years by adults who say, "You've had enough," whether it's candy, presents, excitement, recreation, stimulation, and so on. Parents teach about enough informally, a bit at a time, as the situation arises. For example,
"Time for a nap. You've been up long enough." "You and I are going to a quiet room to sit for a while. You've had enough excitement for now." "You've had enough cookies. I'll cut up an apple for you." "After we get your jacket and jeans, we'll see if there's enough money left for the sneakers you want." Or, "Come for a walk with me. I haven't seen enough of you lately."
Also related to the issue of overgiving is the concept of wants versus needs. Children don't automatically know the difference between these. They aren't born with the knowledge or judgment to calibrate their needs. All are felt with the same intensity, certainly as babies, and it's up to their parents to teach them gradually about the difference.
So a 2-year-old may desperately want a cookie. A parent can allow the child to wait for it. Or a teen may desperately want a certain pair of jeans. The parent can deny the request or help the teen to figure out a way that he can buy them with his own money.
Parents can feel pressure if they feel they should be satisfying all their children's demands. And actually, this does their children a disservice. Every child deserves to have some frustrations in his or her life, so they learn how to deal with them. Remember that parents don't have to impose artificial frustrations on their children. Normal life imposes delays and frustrations enough, and the parent can use these as opportunities to help their children learn to deal with them. Putting a child's needs ahead of her wants is the greatest gift parents can give. Sometimes what children need for healthy emotional development is to not get their wants met. They may need to learn to tolerate frustration, and they may need to learn that other people's feelings and needs matter. The second type of overindulgence is called over-nurturing. And this is when parents do too much for children so that the children don't learn skills of everyday living. This involves doing things for them that they could be doing for themselves. This is actually the major area of overindulgence. Studies have shown that adults who look back at their childhoods and feel that they were overindulged mention this form of overindulgence most often. Not being required to be contributing members of the family, not having to learn life skills and self-care skills. The overindulgence was not in buying too many things for them. Examples of over-nurturing would be:
the mother of a 6-year-old hangs up his coat for him even though he can reach the hook by himself. 9-year-old Sally's father organizes all of her work each night so Sally does not have to spend time doing it. Or 13-year-old Brian never makes his own social arrangements, his mother does that for him. Or the father of a 4-year-old still gets some water from the refrigerator even though the child has a very steady hand and is capable of pouring the water himself.
There are times, though, that parents may want to do things for their children as a loving gesture, but when it becomes a pattern and the child is not learning to take care of himself and his own things, then it becomes overindulgence. The third form of overindulgence is called soft structure. This occurs when parents do not expect enough or demand enough of their children. This has to do with parents not requiring children to take responsibility. They don't set limits. When they don't make their children face consequences for their actions, thus when they're not holding their children accountable for their behavior. Examples of soft structure would be:
10-year-old Billy is supposed to take out the trash, but when it's cold out, his father does it for him. Or the mother of a 15-year-old goes to school to get her child out of trouble when she's caught cheating on a test. Or a mother of a 12-year-old calls the teacher to explain why her son has forgotten his homework for the 7th time this marking period. Or 7-year-old Alex begs to stay up late and watch TV until 10 o'clock on a school night, even though his usual bedtime is 8, and his father lets him, even though he knows he'll be too tired the next day. And finally, 3-year-old Sasha's father cleans up her toys for her after she's finished, instead of having her participate in the effort.
So to summarize these facts about overindulgence, remember that being spoiled does not necessarily come from a child having too many material possessions. It's an attitude of not helping, not taking responsibility, not being grateful, or expecting others to do things for him that he could be doing for himself. Remember, you can spoil your children without spending a dime on them. Here are some tips to help you to lessen the overindulgence that may be occurring in your home. You can teach your children the concept of enough by using the word in everyday situations. Help your children to know the difference between their needs and wants. Satisfy all their needs as best you can, and satisfy some of their wants as fits your values. Don't give your children everything they want or ask for. Set limits based on your values. Give your children responsibilities in the home appropriate to their ages and maturity and ability. Small chores can start when children are as young as 3 years old. Be consistent with rules and follow through with any consequences you set so that your children learn that they will be held accountable for their behavior. For more information about rules and consequences, you can view our on-demand articles about those topics. Don't bail your children out when they get into trouble or if they shirk responsibilities. You can be a support to them while still helping them to face consequences. Thank you for joining us.